What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Member Perspective Podcast show. My name is Colter. I'm your host, former top producing team member of 6 years. I got to a place where I sold life insurance at a high level. I was confident. I was consistent. I had systems and processes that allowed for that consistency to happen. And now we're teaching team members those same systems, those same processes, those same mindsets that allow for that consistent high level of production financial services. Like, that is what we do in our group, the Team Member Perspective, is we help you as a team member sell more life and health. We help you as the agency owner train your team so that they can start selling more of the life and health so that you don't have to, right? You should be working on your business. You shouldn't be the one doing the day-to-day selling. But anyways, that's what we do. And for those of you that have been listening to this podcast, you're like, Colter, I already know, dude. Like, you don't need to sell me on it. We're part of your group, or you've said that before in an episode. Of course I have, but I got to remind you, because if you haven't reached out, if you haven't booked a call, just do it. I mean, would you be opposed if you booked a call, you got your team involved with us, and you had the best year in life insurance ever? Like, would you be opposed of that? Okay. I hear it all the time. Like, we're helping agents travel for the first time after being in business for 8 years, right? If you haven't traveled and you're an agent, or you're a part of a team that hasn't traveled, like, would you be mad if you got involved with us and you guys traveled for the first time? Would you be mad if you got involved with us and you doubled your life insurance production? So I'm going to keep plugging it, right? Like, why else would I be doing this podcast? You think I'm going to just do it for free? Okay. I try to be kind. I try to bring value, and that's my hope today. But like, a shameless plug, book a call, click the link below, get on a phone call with me, because I'm telling you, I'm very, very confident that the training that we have will help you and your team take your financial service production to a completely different level. Like, it's proven. We've got the systems, we've got the processes, we've got the plays, we've got the strategy, we've got the mindsets that will help you and your team do that consistently. So book a call. Come on. Like, I'd love to connect with you. If I haven't, would love to. Okay. And even if we have booked a call in the past, even if you have been involved with our group in the past, book it again. I would love to reconnect with you and see how we might be able to help you. And you know what? I don't know if we can. Maybe you're set. I don't know. But anyways, I'll get off the soapbox there. And I want to get into today's episode. And guys, my hope today is to be real and to be authentic, because I think sometimes, when we're listening to podcasts, or we're watching trainings, or we're involved with different coaches and mentors, I think sometimes we put them on this high pedestal, and we put them in this like category that like they're untouched, and that like they don't deal with the same challenges that I do, and that, hey, they've gotten to a place where they've absolutely mastered their mindset. They've absolutely mastered their ability at regulating their emotions. Like, we seem to put them like out of our league in our minds. And, my hope with this episode is to kind of maybe break that belief that, these coaches and these mentors and people, like, they're human. Like, I'm human. And, it's not always easy, right? And no matter the system, no matter the process, no matter the mindset, no matter your situation, like, it's not always easy. And, there's going to be times where you feel like you're kind of down in the dumps, and that no matter what you do, no matter what you try to get involved with, sometimes it's just like you have those days where it's hard to snap out of it. It's hard to get that spark again. It's hard to get that motivation and that drive to go out and make these phone calls, to pivot to life insurance, to hold these review appointments. It's sometimes you have those days where you kind of feel like you're down in the dumps. And to be real with you and to be authentic, like, I have those days just like you do, right? Like, over the last few days, like, I felt just this lack of energy and this lack of motivation. Like, I truly did not want to record this podcast today. I truly did not want to take the sales calls that I had on my calendar today. Like, I truly did not want to do anything today. And even like, it started yesterday, right? And, so I just want to be real that like, everybody has those days. And if they tell you otherwise, they're lying. to you, right? And I probably wouldn't listen to them, right? If they tell you that they have this magic bullet that's going to help you be consistent with everything all the time, that you're never going to have bad days again, like, they're lying to you. Okay. It's not real. It's not real. Today, I want to talk about, like, what do we do when we feel that way, right? Like, what should Colter do on a day like today where, like, truthfully, like, it's hard for me to want to do this? Like, what do we do? Because here's the deal is, like, sales is hard. And for those of you listening to this, you probably understand that. Sales is hard because it's such a mental game. It's a mental battle every single day, right? Every single day, the scoreboard goes to zero. Every single month, your scoreboard goes to zero. Your production goes to zero. Every single year, the same thing. Everything goes to zero. Coach Burt taught me that, hey, everything goes to zero at midnight. And, I'm a big believer that nothing in life is guaranteed. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. Okay. And, so, like, in days like today where Colter's feeling down in the dumps, I can't seem to find that energy. I can't seem to get that spark that I want. What do we do? Okay. And I want to kind of talk about that because I believe that the very best salespeople, the very best business people, at least in my experience of what I've been around, what I've been fortunate enough to see and fortunate enough to learn from these high producing salespeople and these rock solid business owners that are doing big things, is that the very best salespeople are really good at regulating their emotions. Okay. And so I want to talk about emotional regulation because it's very important. And if you're in a sales role or you have any sort of pressure, whether it's internal pressure or external pressure to perform and sell, you know that it's an emotional roller coaster. Like, it's not easy. You're going to have days when you feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like your conversations are just on point and you feel like it's just flowing right off your tongue and you're closing policies right and left. Right? You're going to have days where all you can seem to find time to do is write applications. Okay. And those are good days. They're tiring days, but they're good days. That's what we wish for. That's what we work for, are those days. But on the flip side, you're also going to have days where you can't seem to get anybody to pick up the phone. You're going to have days where you can't seem to get anybody's attention. You can't seem to get anybody to listen to what you have to say. You're going to have days when you have customers back to back to back to back tell you no. Okay. You're going to have days when you wake up and just something feels off. You're going to have days when you get in the office, you're excited, you're rocking and rolling, and then after lunch, you're down in the dumps again. Okay. That is just the nature of selling and a sales role. And honestly, what I'm learning is that is the nature of business. And that's just the nature of life, right? Life isn't all daisies and roses and happiness and bliss. Like, life can be tough, and that's okay. I think that's my first message is it is okay. However you feel, it is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you. We're human. It happens to the best of us. Okay. But I'm not the type of person that's like, I'm having one of those days and I'm like, well, nothing I can do. I guess we'll just have to wait till tomorrow. I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person where I have one of these days and I'm thinking, what can I do to snap out of this thing? What can I do to start thinking more positively? What can I do to start feeling better? Okay. And so, first and foremost, I hope that you feel that you're not alone. Like, if you have those days, you are definitely not alone. Like, I have them fairly often. I feel like the older I've gotten and the more that I've been through, and, it all started when I was a missionary for 2 years. Man, like, for those of you that aren't very familiar with like a mission and in the Mormon LDS culture, it's a 2-year deal. Okay. And so I graduate high school. I am 18 years old. I still feel like a kid. I had great baseball seasons. I had a great baseball career in high school. And I had always had in my mind that, okay, next step is I'm going on this mission. And so anyways, I get a mission call and I'm going to Phoenix, Arizona. And I live in Utah, okay? And so I didn't really know where Phoenix was, but I remember opening this mission call. And a lot of my friends, I mean, they're going to Africa, they're going to Spain, they're going to Mexico, they're going to all these really cool places. Well, Colter's going to Phoenix, Arizona. Honestly, like I thought that Phoenix was closer to Utah than it actually is. Like I thought it was like southern Utah, like I could drive there in 7 hours and be in Phoenix, but I was wrong, right? Phoenix is a little bit further south. But anyways, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, this is kind of dumb. Like, I'm going to Phoenix. All my friends are going to freaking Africa. They're going to Spain. They're going to Mexico. They're going to all these places. But anyways, as a missionary for 2 years, Monday through Sunday, okay, we woke up at 6 a.m. and we would exercise for about 30 minutes. And by 8 a.m., okay, so 6:30 to 8, we're showering, we're getting ready for the day, we're eating breakfast. By 8 a.m., we have what's called personal study time. Okay, so from 8 to 9, for an hour, you're studying the scriptures, the Bible, you're studying by yourself, okay? From 9 to 10, you have what we call companionship study. Right? As a missionary, you're always with somebody else. You're always with a companion. And you don't get to pick your companions. You're just, you're assigned a companion. Whether you like them or not, you have to live with them. Okay? So from 9 to 10, you're studying with your companion. And then for me as a Spanish speaking missionary, what we would do from 10 to 11 is we would have our language study. Okay? And by this point, I mean, it's lunchtime. Okay, so we have our lunch, and then after that, we go out and we start meeting with people. We're teaching them about God and about Jesus and so forth. Like we're selling God, right? And we do that all day long until about 9:30. Okay, and when we get back in at 9:30, we plan for about a half an hour together as a companionship for the next day, and then we go to bed. And you repeat that Monday through Sunday for 2 years. I want you to think about that, right? Like, I know you've probably seen missionaries on the street. You've seen them in your neighborhoods. You see them at Costa Vida, Cafe Rio, whatever it is. But like 2 years of being disciplined to do that study regimen every day, to then go out and work until 9:30 every day, right? Like it taught me so much, but I'll tell you, it was not easy. It was probably one of the hardest things that I've done. And not to mention, I didn't have any communication with my family outside of 1 day a week on Mondays. Okay, we would have Mondays, I should say, instead of Monday through Sunday, like we would have Monday from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. that we call our preparation day. On that preparation day, we could go play basketball, we could go shop for our groceries, we would clean our apartment, and we would be able to email home, okay? And so we got to email home once a week, okay? We wouldn't phone call home. Back when I was a missionary, the only times that we would call home was on Mother's Day and Christmas Day. Okay, so in my 2 years, I got 4 of those phone calls to my family. Okay, and it was actually a Skype at the time. But it was just Monday where I could communicate with my family. So I couldn't really talk with my family or friends out there. I had to rely on the companion that I was with, right? And I'll tell you, like, when you're paired up with someone that you don't know, like, that's tough. Like you literally are with them 24/7. Like the only time you're not with them is when you go to the bathroom, when you're showering, okay? Every other time you are with them. And you're put in these situations where you have to study together, you have to collaborate together, you have to work together. And on top of being away from home, on top of like the grind from Monday through Sunday, every single day of the week, sticking to that strict regimen and schedule. And we did, okay? But I'm telling you all this because this is where I felt like I learned a few things about myself and a few things about regulating my emotions. This is where I feel like I learned how to kind of be given and dealt with this situation that I really had no choice but to choose optimism, right? Because I'll be honest, the first 6 months of that experience for me was awful. It was extremely hard. And I would say the hardest thing that I've ever done. But towards the end, you get used to it. But anyways, I learned to develop this mindset and these skills that allow me to kind of learn how to regulate my emotions. Okay. And so that experience, I mean, imagine 2 years, like think of 2 years ago. Okay. Like that's a long time. Okay. It taught me a lot about regulating my emotions. It taught me a lot about being uncomfortable, right? Like I'm talking to random people all day long and I'm doing it in Spanish. Are you kidding me? Like I looked like a fool more than I'd probably like to admit. I remember I think it was like my second month in Arizona. We're sitting at dinner with this family. They don't speak any English. My companion's from Chihuahua, Mexico. Okay, he's a white guy, crazy, but like fluent in Spanish. Okay, fluent in Spanish, fluent in English. But anyways, we're sitting at dinner and like I literally can't understand anything they're saying. Okay, anyways, after dinner we teach them a lesson, whatever. I couldn't contribute very much because I didn't know what was being said and I couldn't really speak Spanish. I remember falling asleep. Okay. I fell asleep in this lesson. Embarrassing. But like I was okay after those 2 years. Like I was absolutely okay with looking like a fool. I was absolutely okay with being uncomfortable. Okay. And I started to learn that like when we feel uncomfortable and when we feel like we're worried about what everybody else is thinking, that experience taught me that people aren't thinking about you as much as you think. Okay. But anyways, going back to this, that experience was the first thing that really helped me build this foundation of being able to kind of learn how to regulate my emotions and be okay and not let the highs take me too high and not let the lows take me too low. But I learned how to have this balance. Okay. Regardless of the circumstances, I learned how to kind of just ride the wave. Okay. And, after that, I then came home and I felt like that teed me up really well to be a door-to-door salesman, where I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma my first year. And again, it was a whole new experience. Like I'm not selling God, but I'm selling the security system. And, guys, the same thing. It was like Monday through Saturday, right? We would get out on the doors about 1 p.m., not get home until 9. Like it was a grind. I wasn't given leads. I had to create my own leads by knocking on doors. And, I felt like that experience with being a missionary for 2 years, it helped me learn how to regulate my emotions even more, right? And it helped me to learn to just keep going regardless of how I feel, okay? And, I did that again the next year, and then that's when I got into insurance. And so I feel like my background and my experience of being a missionary, being a door-to-door salesman, and almost being forced to be in uncomfortable situations and almost being forced to have like letdowns, right? Because, being a missionary, our goal was to get people to join the church and be baptized. Well, as you can probably imagine, over the span of 2 years, we were let down a lot, right? Like we were trying to get people to church. Like we'd go to their house an hour before church and say, hey, we're excited to see you there. We're doing everything we possibly can to get people to come to church. And at the end of the day, there was a lot that was out of our control, and it was ultimately their decision to come to church. And so, we were let down a lot. I was let down a lot as a missionary. Door-to-door sales, like, I had accounts that I thought I had closed and they back out last second, or they, I sell them today and tomorrow they call them cancel. And so I was let down, and I was in these situations where, it sucked. Like it was really hard, but I didn't really have a choice to feel bad for myself, right? Like as a missionary, I committed. I was going to do that thing and I was going to stick out the full 2 years, and I did. And I'll tell you, that gave me a lot of confidence to like say I'm going to do something to actually follow through with it, right? Now that was a big deal. Well, getting into door-to-door sales, same thing, right? Like it was tough, but I didn't really have a choice to feel bad for myself and not continue to keep going, right? I just had to keep going because I had to make money. Like I was out there. I left my family again, and I committed that I was going to go out and make money. And so I didn't really have a choice to feel bad. And so I tell you all of that just so you have an inside look into Colter's experience leading up to being a team member, leading up to doing this podcast episode. I want to walk you through 5 different things that I feel like have helped me in those times, in those days where you feel like you're in the dumps, when you feel like nothing's going your way, in the times where it would be so easy to just give into your emotions, give into your feelings, and just stop doing what you're doing and wait for tomorrow to come, right? And so these 5 things really helped me learn how to regulate my emotions. And I'll say it again. The very best salespeople out there are extremely good at regulating their emotions. They don't take the highs too high. They don't take the lows too low. Every single successful business owner that I have been around has this demeanor and has this emotion, this skill of being able to regulate their emotions in a way that I never thought like I would be able to do. But like, they're extremely good with it, right? Like, you can tell they've been through a lot, and you can tell that things don't faze them like they used to, okay? Because they've been through a lot. And so, here are the things that have helped me learn how to regulate my emotions a little bit better. Okay, the first thing, and this came back when I was a missionary, the first phrase is this: forget yourself and go to work. This is a phrase that helped me get through this 2-year mission. Forget yourself and go to work. And when I would tell myself that in my mind on days that, I was struggling and I was going through a lot and I just wasn't feeling, 100%, when I would tell myself to forget yourself and go to work, literally when I stopped thinking about myself, I started to feel better. When I started to think about other people and others and how I could help others, I started to feel better. Okay. And so as a team member, as an agent, whatever it is, if you start to feel yourself, you're in a down day, forget yourself and go to work. The second thing is have a routine that sets you up for success. This is something that I learned as a missionary, right? We had a very, strict routine that we'd follow. I took that into door-to-door sales. Okay. And in door-to-door sales, I had a morning routine that I would follow that would set myself up for the day in the best way that I possibly could, right? And for me, that morning routine consisted of moving my body, getting my blood pumping, get some exercise, right? I felt like when I would exhaust my body, I would tame my mind. And so I was exercising. I was moving my body every single day before I'd go and hit the doors. Okay? Outside of that, I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to audiobooks. I was listening to courses that would feed my mind full of positivity, full of possibility, full of training of how I could get better with my door approach and how I could get better at selling value. And, I would always feed myself full of positivity. Okay. And so that was kind of the extent of my routine as a door-to-door salesman. Well, fast forward, I become a team member, and I'm fortunate enough to work with this agent that believes in personal development, that believes in working on yourself, working on your mindset. And so he would, in our trainings, he would talk about different books that he was reading and different things. And that inspired me. And so anyways, he gifted us a book called The Miracle Morning for Christmas one year. And I remember getting into this book, like I was hungry and I was ready to really have a breakthrough and really to have a lot of success as a team member. I get into this book, and this book kind of brought more structure to my morning routine as far as other things I could do. And in this book, Hal Elrod, the author, talks about 5 things that we can do in the morning to set ourselves up for the day. Okay, the miracle morning, and it spells out savers, S-A-V-E-R-S. So I guess there's 6, not 5. Okay, but S is let's see, what are all the savers? There's silence, so some meditation. And that could be in the form of prayer. That could be in the form of actually meditating. Journaling was one of them. Writing down, which I journal a lot now. In fact, I'll show you my book here. I journal just about every single day. Just getting my thoughts out of my mind and onto paper. Reading something. Exercise. Scribing. So writing, journaling, reading, exercise. Anyways, go get the book. But it brought more structure to my morning routine. And I remember being a team member, guys, and I joke you not, you can even ask my wife. There was a time where I was waking up at about 4:30 in the morning, and I would exercise, I would read, I would meditate, I would journal, I would do all these things that I learned in this book because I started to see the importance of working on myself and how that was going to help me sell more. Okay. And, at the time, I wanted agency. I wanted to stand out. I wanted to make a name for myself. And so I was hungry. I was willing to do that. I was willing to wake up at 4:30. I was willing to take that time before my 9 to 5 to work on myself. Okay. But long story short, have a routine. Do something for yourself to set yourself up in the best way that you possibly can. Right. And do it every day. Get consistent with that. Like, ask yourself this question, or even like fill in the blank here. I feel at my best when, okay? And write out what will help you feel at your best. For me, I feel at my best in the morning when I exercise, when I move my body. I feel at my best when I read or listen to something positive or something that can teach me to become better and improve somewhere. I feel at best when I take some time and I meditate and I spend some time in silence. I feel at best when I journal, right? And so answer that question, but have a routine that you can get consistent with so that you are setting yourself up for success consistently every single day. Okay. Because again, everything goes to zero at midnight, right? It's not just like you had a great week last week and this week it's just going to keep happening for you. You've got to be intentional with making it happen. Okay. Now, the third thing that has helped me regulate my emotions more is to not complain out loud. Like, you will not find me ever complaining about anything out loud to you. Like, I just can't do it. Right. And I think it's because naturally growing up, I had these patterns where I was thinking negatively, but like, I'm never going to complain. Right. The moment that, like, it's one thing to like have it as a thought, but the moment that you complain and you voice it out loud, it becomes more real. Okay. And so maybe I'm just delusional, but like, I don't complain out loud. Okay. The fourth thing is that work is the cure, right? Like, if you feel down in the dumps, do something, take an action, make a phone call, right? Because here's the thing is these feelings are just temporary. Okay. They're just temporary. But what I found is work is the cure. Going back to that phrase, forget yourself and go to work. If you feel down in the dumps, take an action, do something, because that will help you snap out of it. That will help you get back to where you want to be. Okay. And then the fifth and last thing is to be grateful. All right. I feel like when I'm down in the dumps, my focus is off. I'm not focusing on what I have. I'm not focusing on what I'm grateful for. I'm focusing on what I don't have and all the problems that I'm dealing with, right? I'm focusing on myself and feeling bad for myself. And I'm finding that I'm not grateful in times when I'm feeling kind of down in the dumps. Guys, anyways, at the end of the day, like, sales is a roller coaster of emotions. Life is a roller coaster of emotions. And I believe that our ability to learn how to regulate our emotions and not take the highs too high and not take the lows too low, but learn to be level-headed. I believe that is one of the most underappreciated skills that we can develop, is to be level-headed regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what's going on, and have the commitment to just keep working, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Because, these things are temporary. These feelings are temporary. They're going to end. Nothing's permanent. Okay. And so anyways, guys, I hope you liked this episode. Didn't think I would go that deep into my story, but I think it's helpful to know kind of my past, where I come from, and different things that I've gone through and what I've learned to help to better regulate my emotions, because it is a roller coaster of emotions. And if we're not intentional, the lows can absolutely wipe us out. The highs can, make us have this big head, and, we may not get the results, the lasting long-term success and results that we're truly striving for. So appreciate you guys. If you found any value in this episode, my only ask, I guess I got a few asks. Okay. Number one, like it. Come on, give me a like. Number two, subscribe to the channel. And number three, share it with someone that you feel like might benefit. Maybe an agent friend, a team member friend, or whoever that you feel like might benefit. And then my last ask is, if you really truly feel like we might be able to help your team with their life and health production, click the link below and let's get on a call. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.